G'day. I thought I'd take the time to show you guys this new tender we bought before we came away on our trip up the Great Barrier Reef. We were having some issues with our last tender being quite unstable and particularly difficult to get in and out of when we were scuba diving or snorkeling. I also do a bit of kite surfing, so quite often the water's quite choppy, and we were finding it was taking water and whatnot, so we needed to upgrade tenders. And I got online and I found this product here called a Takacat. Takacat.com, and it's a catamaran hull. I'm going to lift up the bottom, you can have a bit of a look and see underneath that it actually is two catamaran tubes with a solid flat base. Now it's not actually a solid base, but if you look inside you'll see it's actually the same kind of base as a stand-up paddleboard. So it's quite rigid and very stable and quite comfortable. Another great feature about this boat that I like is the fact that it has an open transom. So we keep this boat on top of our monohull and actually keep it upright. The water can't pool inside the boat and it escapes very easily, so there's no need to bail the water out. Unlike our last tender, it used to fill up with water. This one, it just flushes out. An interesting thing is the water actually doesn't come in the boat when we're cruising along. 99% of the time it's completely dry in there, and that's because it's sitting on a rather thick stand-up paddleboard style of base. The other thing I love about this is the big tubes. These tubes are 450 millimeters in diameter, and so it can take a massive payload for a very tiny dinghy. So the dinghy is 2.8 meters long, and I think it's called the XL 2.8. So I find it very stable. You can even stand on these tubes individually without it tipping over. I can stand in this boat and throw a cast net, even in quite choppy conditions. And I can even just drive around while standing up. It's that stable. One of the really things I love about it, if you watch this, one finger, it is light as a feather. These boats don't weigh more than 25 kilos. So I can pick the entire boat up and put it on top of my mono by myself without the aid of a halyard or asking my partner to help me. The whole thing deflates into two small bags, although we don't actually deflate the boat, we keep it permanently inflated. But you can deflate it. This tube transom here comes apart, and it has these wheels on the back, and if you have a look at these wheels, they are actually really clever. So all you do is you just lift this like that and the whole wheel pops off. You can put it in the other way, so just lift that up, stick that in position, and I'll show you on this side. I've got a rod holder on that side. Lift that up, relieve it, put that back in there like that, push that down, and that locks it in position. I don't usually drive around with them like that, but I will quite often actually come in, before I come into the beach, I'll put the wheels in place and drive right up into the beach, even if I've got a following wave, because the outboard is just above the level of the wheels, so I can come soaring into the beach and pretty well just run straight onto the beach, jump out, pick it up, and because it's light as a feather, I can just drag it around through the soft sand. Look, really, I'd have to say, I've owned a lot of tenders in my time, and this one really gets me going. And that's why we're bothering to make a video on it, because I think for anybody that's looking for a really lightweight tender, especially something for either a catamaran that's really dependent on weight, something at 25 kilos. My last tender weighed nearly 200 kilos with the outboard. Obviously it's a 20 horsepower Honda 4-stroke outboard with a fiberglass hull, but this thing is absolutely feather light in comparison, so it certainly makes the job a lot easier. I love fishing out of it. It's also, because it has the narrow tube on the front, and I believe the other models actually don't have a tube around the front at all, they just come to a point like a catamaran. It makes entry into the front of the boat when you're snorkeling really easy. You're not trying to get over these big, large tubes, which I know is quite difficult for a lot of people. Just slide in over the front and you're in there nice and quick. Because I do a lot of kite surfing, spearfishing, scuba diving, so I need a robust, sturdy dinghy that can cope the waves, handle a bit of swell, and be nice and stable. So we're in love with this boat, and I recommend to anybody that's looking for a new tender to look at Takacat. They're awesome.